We can get started.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Again, welcome. So this week we are coming up on Eid, and we wanted to dedicate this session, taking what we've learned already on angels, the immortality of spirit, and the hereafter, and applying it to these first 10 days of Dhul Hijj or Dhul Hijjah, I guess, and see how we can actually connect what we've learned with how we can benefit from these days leading up to Eid. We have a different reading that we can read for today, and all questions and discussion points are welcome. Again, we're on a shorter time period, so don't be shy. You can write in the chat or message us or just raise your hand and speak, inshallah. Sarah, when you're ready to say anything, just let me know, okay?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.
Wa alaikum
We
salam.
did receive a request to Labbaik to bring our attention to the most sacred time of the year, which captures the life journey of the pilgrimage to the oneness of God. Out of all the pillars of Islam, Hajj is the only one that is to be done once, yet it encompasses our entire lives. So questions arise like, how do we pilgrimage? How do we make this pilgrimage to the oneness of God in my home, with my family, when I'm eating, when I'm drinking? How am I really using each event, which we have been talking about in depth with receiving Nur, with the 33 windows that we studied, with the 29th word that we're studying now? How can we pause, really stop, and at least reflect on one thing with so much contemplation and curiosity and wonder, dropping what we think we know and really just pondering how things are here and journey from creation, whether it's the coffee or the food or the people around us, to the Creator, to the oneness of God, which was what Dhul Hijjah and Hajj are centered around. And so we want to use, inshallah, today's session to focus on capturing all of what we've done so far, because we cannot journey to the oneness of God without journeying with the angels that are proclaiming God. We cannot really be present with the glorification of God, with the things themselves representing God as ayat, without the presence of the angels. And so how? The questions are. I'm going to pause there.
Lovely. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, one thing that I've always wondered, I think, about Hajj is that like when we talk about the 5, I guess, requirements of Islam, right? The principles of Islam, we say, okay, saying the Shahada and then, prayers, zakat, fasting, and then Hajj. And the Shahada and Hajj seem like it's like a one-off thing. The others have this repeatedness to it, but saying the Shahada, okay, you say it once, you're good, you're a Muslim now. And then Hajj, it's like when you look at it, I guess more, I don't want to say superficially, more from the outside, it seems like, you know, you only do it once in your life, and that's, you know, if you have the means. But what I've learned through, you know, training with like actual Quranic methodology, with Imam Nursi's text, with receiving Nur, right? Shahada is not a one-time thing. I'm not just witnessing once and then I'm done. It's something that I need to be consciously stopping to practice and witness and actually observe. So something similar has to happen with this prayer of Hajj, with this obligation. So yes, the going there, the you know, being in that place, doing the rituals, maybe you get to do that just once in your life, but what does it mean for me, like Sarah said, to center God in my life every day, to go around the Kaaba every day? Like, how am I doing that? I think so. That's one thing that I've actually been thinking about more this year, specifically, I think because we have this kind of background with the 29th word, inshallah. So maybe we can just bring the worship of Hajj more into our lives in a conscious manner. So it's not just something like, oh, I'll do it when I win the lottery and like, I don't know, when I'm 70 or something. It should be something that I'm thinking about here and now. Um, so that's definitely one of my goals for today's discussion, inshallah, just getting a little bit closer to that. So we had some verses from today's newsletter, which was in Surah Hajj, the 34th and 35th ayat. And then we have a passage from the Risale-i Nur. This is the first word, second station of the 14th flash. Okay, so I'll read the ayat first, and then I'll read the text, and then we can just go over it slowly, inshallah. If someone wants to read the Arabic, please be my guest.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And before we engage with the Quran, let's just be reminded that the Quran speaks to us when we have questions. When you're wondering, really, and in need of guidance, then you allow the space for the Quran to speak to you. And so the questions that we're asking is, like, what are we really expected to do with our just practical things that you're doing every day, the cleaning, the cooking, the eating, the drinking, engaging with people? How do we really begin to, like Nurbana was beautifully saying, circumambulate God, the oneness of God in that? How do we feel like we are being called to something so that we can respond to a call? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. ولكل أمة جعلنا منسكا ليذكروا اسم الله على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام فإلهكم إله واحد فله أسلموا وبشر المخبتين الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم والصابرين على ما أصابهم والمقيم الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون.
So the English translation, as you guys can see on screen, for every community, we appointed a rite of sacrifice so that they may pronounce the name of Allah over the sacrificial animals He has provided for them. For your God is only one God, so submit yourselves to Him alone and give good news, O Prophet, to the humble. Those whose hearts tremble at the remembrance of Allah, who patiently endure whatever may befall them, and who establish prayer and donate from what we have provided for them. One thing that I learned over the weekend during our workshops in Turkish was that the translations that we have in Turkish of the Quran sometimes do a lot of injustice to the text itself. So you know, like I'm not a native Arabic speaker, and unfortunately, I haven't learned Arabic enough to understand what this text is saying to me unimpeded. So I feel like that is one thing that I'm always missing out on, because the words that we're using in English or Turkish, they come with so much baggage, and sometimes they're just interpretations. So one question I have for this session is, how should we understand these verses so that they're speaking to us more clearly or on a more meaning level than just sacrifice the sacrificial animal? Or why is that connected with alone? Or why do I pronounce the name of Allah over the sacrificial animal? So there are all these things that is told that I'm told, and I want to understand what each of these things mean in my daily life. So when I'm not actually in the right of saying, how do I apply this? I'm pronouncing the name of the sacrificial animal. What does that mean, and how can I submit in this sense? And then this is followed by giving good news to the humble. Then we have a description. Those whose hearts tremble at the remembrance of Allah, who patiently endure whatever may befall them, and who establish prayer and donate from what we have provided for them. So maybe we're kind of making a connection between what it means to submit and to be humble, and then what I need to do to get that kind of character. Those are my initial thoughts, at least. Okay, so now we can read the third mystery. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. What makes this boundless universe rejoice is clearly divine mercy. What illuminates these dark beings is self-evidently divine mercy. What fosters and raises creatures struggling with their endless needs is self-evidently, again, divine mercy. What causes the whole universe to be turned towards man, like a tree together with all its parts is turned towards its fruit, and causes it to look to him and run to his assistance, is clearly divine mercy. What fills and illuminates boundless space and the empty, vacant world and makes it rejoice is self-evidently divine mercy. And what designates ephemeral man for eternity and makes him the addressee and beloved of the pre-eternal and post-eternal one is self-evidently divine mercy. O man, since divine mercy is such a powerful, inviting, sweet, assisting, lovable truth, say in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, adhere to this truth and be saved from absolute desolation and the pains of unending needs. Draw close to the throne of the pre-eternal and post-eternal monarch, and availing yourself of the compassionate and rays of divine mercy, become his addressee, friend, and beloved. So just in this little paragraph, we're kind of getting to that invitation part, right? So the labbaik comes, like there's a call, like Sarah said. And here we're talking about this inviting, sweet truth, right? And then I'm promised become his addressee, his friend, his beloved. So this is what I'm being called to, I think, with the divine mercy. And I feel like the words are so true for this. It's very sweet, very inviting, and lovable. It just like the feelings that arise are just, I love this call. Then here we are. All the realms in the universe being purposively gathered around man and being to meet all his needs with the utmost order and which arises from one of two situations. Either each realm of beings knows man, obeys him, and runs to help him, which just as it is complete, or an impotent being like man has to possess the power of the mightiest absolute sovereign, or this assistance occurs through the knowledge of an absolutely powerful one behind the veil of the universe. That is to say, it is not that the different beings in the universe know man, but that they are the evidences of a knowing, compassionate one being acquainted with him and knowing him. I think this part is kind of connecting with our study of the 29th word, looking at everything that's coming together for me to live, to flourish, and then to say, they don't know me, and I can't control them, but there's something, right? They're the evidences of a knowing, compassionate one, and being acquainted with him and knowing him. So there's me, there's all my needs, and then in some way, all my needs are being met. But the things that are meeting my needs, or they look like they're meeting my needs, don't know me, don't owe anything to me, couldn't tell me apart from a rock, probably. So how is it that I crave beauty and I see beauty? I crave food and I get the most delicious food. I need water and I get water. So he makes this bridge that all of those things are evidences of a knowing, compassionate one being acquainted with me and knowing me. Oh man, human being, come to your senses. Is it at all possible that the all-glorious one who causes all the varieties of creatures to turn towards you and stretch out their hands to assist you, and to say, here we are in the face of your needs, is it possible that he does not know you, is not acquainted with you, does not see you? Since he does know you, he informs you that he knows you through his mercy, so you should know him too, and with respect, let him know that you know him, and understand with certainty that what subjugates the vast universe to an absolutely weak, absolutely impotent, absolutely needy, ephemeral, insignificant creature like you, and dispatches it to assist you, is the truth of divine mercy, which comprises wisdom, favor, knowledge, and power. So that's a lot. I'll stop there. That was our reading for today too. We can definitely keep going, but I'll open up the floor now. Again, if you guys have any questions, write in the chat, and if not, Sarah, if you have anything to say, then we can ask Dr. Yamina, inshallah, for her thoughts.
A very humbling thing to read. And so I just want this to be as practical as possible, because right now we want to shift receiving Nur to practice, because halakha is only beneficial if you're integrating it into your life. And alhamdulillah, by Allah's grace, Dr. Yamina has been giving us halakha for years on YouTube, available for everyone. And if we're not practicing, then there's really no point of growing together. and implementing this and becoming the change that the Quran is guiding us to become. Especially now in these most sacred times where we're supposed to be taking off our old garments, what defined you, what you think defines you, everything that you've labeled as normal, my normal cup of coffee, my normal routine, my mundane chores, you take all of that off and come with a new curiosity, with serious questions. Yani, human beings were just dropped onto this earth. They just literally pop out with a specific face that you have nothing to do with how it's made, put in a location that you have nothing to do with. Yeah, and you have no idea. You just come to a certain location, and then all of a sudden you find I have a very small human being friend who's 18 months now, mashallah. And every time you drop something on the plate, something red, something green, something this, or it's like there's something truly magical happening in the world. And we have to pause and take off everything that we thought was just normal and comfortable and regular and really come to the question, what are we doing? What is happening? I hope that makes it, Yani, at least a little bit of a exclamation point. So if you like coffee in the morning, and if you like it warmed in a certain way, isn't it interesting that when you take a sip, it's exactly, Yani, the combination of this and this and this, for, Yani, you just start tasting enjoyment. And what we've been talking about is, let's ponder on that enjoyment. Is the enjoyment from the matter itself? If we look at how these things come, the water boiling, the milk getting warm, where does the whole process of milk to even arrive, for coffee beans to come, the whole entire universe has to be prepared perfectly, with power, with the sun, with everything in the perfect order, perfect tilt, everything perfectly, yani, put together. And if you look at it for just a moment, Dr. Yamina was saying last week, it is a miraculous gift of utter power at your disposal. There you go, right in your cup. A miraculous gift of power that is being introduced just to your liking. From the same dirt, something red and sweet, something green and savory, something round and red, something tiny and red, something small and purple, something small and green, all popping out, literally popping out of tiny flowers or of the dirt, popping out to say, here I am, just for you, perfectly prepared. Here you go. And we're like, okay, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, that was just. What did you interact with? And how was that experience for you? What we're saying is, something is saying, hello, here I am made perfectly just for your liking. Look at me. I am made perfectly just the way you like it. So then I say, well, let me think about this. How is it possible that you were made perfect like this to my liking? Somehow that doesn't make any sense, is la ilaha. There's nothing I can say that there is the only thing that can explain the red from the green, from the smell of coffee, from the smell of tea, from the different herbs you can put in it, is conscious choice that preferred for these things exist just for you. When we say just for you, it's just for you Ziba, just for you Nurbanu, just for you Saima, just for you Khitam, just for you individually, for every single person here. It's a special gift. Labbaik means here I am. I see that there's something calling my attention. Let me respond back. What Nursi is saying now is like, come to your senses. Is it at all possible that this infinite being, this being that's beyond everything that you can even imagine, who causes all of these things to turn towards you and stretch out their hands to assist you. Sure, you're thirsty, here you go. H2O, perfectly prepared, right out the faucet in a beautiful cup. Here you go. Just exactly what you need to quench your body. I know. The one who made it knows that this is the perfect thing to quench your body. Stretching out its hands to assist you and say, here we are. Is it possible that he doesn't know you? That doesn't see you, doesn't see what you need, what you like, and prepare perfectly for you. And this applies to everything, Yani. Extend it to everything. Can we go to the next page real quick, Nurbanu, and then I'm going to pause. Subjugates the vast universe to an absolutely weak, impotent, needy. We can't create H2O if we tried. We have no idea how it would. There's no way. We have no ability to quench our thirst. We literally sit here thirsty and we hope that when we open the faucet or that the skies will send down. We're sitting here. We hope that the order, like yesterday, will happen again today. There's a being subjugating the entire universe to act all together with all of the beings, right? What we learned let's connect the 29th word, all the various angels that are being subjugated to operate on every aspect of the water, of the sun, of the stars, of the everything, Yani. Working all together, being dispatched to assist you. What would you call that? And then he ends with, it's the truth of divine mercy. It is love. It is such profound love that's wise, that's powerful, caring, that knows. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. Labbaik. And inshallah, we turn it to Dr. Yamina for anything that comes to share, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. I think Princess Ziba had her hand up.
I was just messaging her. Ziba, would you like to share?
Actually, no, my question was more about practice and to be consistent. Like I myself, I really need to pause to contemplate, and I start seeing it, and it becomes so overwhelming that you just want to, like, because one ayah, if you just ponder on that, it has so many layers to it, and to stay with it, like I would ask Sri Yamin how to absorb it and how to make it more fruitful, and how to make it, because sometimes I feel it becomes too overwhelming that I don't go into that depth. Like it can go much more deep, so I know you have asked us to have a routine practice like morning with each prayer and tie it with our meditation. But whenever I stop and try to reflect, that's the feeling I get. So if you have any suggestions or advice for that.
Assalamu alaikum. Was that a question, Ziba?
Yeah, and yeah, it was like I know, just to ask for help, like how to be like how to deal with sometimes I catch myself like I have to pause myself, like I have to deliberately pause and reflect. It doesn't come naturally because we are not groomed into it I think the way we should be. But whenever I pause and I'm reflecting, it becomes sometimes overwhelming, like within the same, like just cutting a vegetable, it becomes like if you start pondering, it becomes so deep, and it like you can keep on going with it. But somehow uh, I stop and then I come on to some other thing. So like I was just seeking help, like how to milk that and how to help others, like if they have the same struggle as me.
I am not sure I understand what the question is really, because I'm not sure what you mean about pondering, because when I hear the word, it could mean I am reflecting intellectually, like, for instance, if I learned, like we learned through the Risala Nur, we learned many steps that are extracted from the ayat in the Quran that are repeated many, many times. For instance, when we see something, instead of seeing it on its own, becoming aware that it is interconnected with everything else, and therefore we cannot reduce it to something unimportant or something that requires a tiny effort or something like that. So there is one that kind of reflection that we are learning together, that we are taught in the Quran, and that we want to practice until it becomes our way of thinking and perceiving. Now, when we start perceiving things that way, approaching them that way, there is a second something that is coming as a response to that perception. Feelings will come. For instance, feeling awe at the beauty, at the power, that are beyond our imagination, beyond our grasp. We cannot fathom it intellectually because we are talking about the infinite, the eternal. Something that, at least, forget about the eternal, at least something that encompasses the creation. But where does the creation end? We cannot even fathom that. So if it is the second step, the first step is something that we learn and we practice. And when we practice it with one thing or one event, and then we pause there and leave that, we listen. And we are like flooded with those feelings. There is no need to give them names, but they go into the category of feeling that awe before the azama, the jamal and jalal, the beauty and the glory of the maker, the creator. And as it is reflected in the creation, you can only say subhanallah, masha'allah, tabarakallah, ahsan al-khaliqeen. Now, those feelings of awe and gratitude is what we need to cultivate. So we cultivate, of course, how we approach the creation. And then, why are we learning that from the Quran? In order to purify ourselves from our misperceptions, our false beliefs that without realizing we developed about the world, that we learned from others or from ourselves. It doesn't matter where it came from, but they are not accurate. they distort what we see, and they facilitate, they could be because of ghafla. It doesn't matter which one comes first. They make the ghafla thicker and thicker, that mindlessness, because they are not true. They reduce everything to something we say normal, ordinary. We take things for granted because we imagine that we have things that are very important to do. And those things doesn't mean that we are not going to do that, but the perspective is wrong, because we are living, as we are told in the Quran, as though there is no akhirah, no hereafter, as though this world is everything. So we are unconsciously choosing the word and the worldly over akhirah, and all that package is coming through. We are living in a paradigm or a worldview where we are interacting with everything horizontally. We're seeing ourselves, perceiving ourselves as independent. There is God, He's my creator, but He's not really connected to me here and now. From time to time, I need Him. From time to time, I turn to Him for help, or just to thank Him or something, but He is not part of my world 24/7. There is a disconnect in between. And as long as we remain in that worldview, in that world perception, misperception, it becomes very difficult. It feels like I have to make an effort to mention God all the time, to think about God. So I can write everywhere, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, or something, but it feels like I'm sacrificing my time, my energy. It takes lots of effort. But what we are learning through the Risale-e-Nur, which is what we are learning in the Quran, and when you learn that way, you look back at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, at what his sayings, the hadith, they start making sense now, because that was a way of life, because it fits a worldview where when we see things, they remind us of God. It's not like I have to make an effort to remember God, and as though the world, because I see it as worldly, because I haven't learned anything else, distracts me from akhirah, distracts me from remembering God. Now we're learning a way of living in the world that everything is a means to not only remember God, but to know God, to increase our knowledge of God, to increase our certainty of God, to make shahada. That's the only way to perform shahada consciously, without perjury, just saying it, claiming it. In the first one, when we are claiming, we're not lying. But not denying is not the same as confirming. That tasdeeq is not there. It's missing because we don't have the means to make that tasdeeq, however good our intention is. So the second part, which is when we are overwhelmed, especially in the beginning, when we are not used to that, then if it is possible, make sajda. If it is possible, if we can't stay with the feeling, at least let's corroborate it. Let's remember it with words and phrases, sacred phrases from the Quran, so that those words will be imbued with those feelings. And a very simple example that I usually give is, if you love coffee or you love chocolate, or children, if they love ice cream or chocolate cake, when you say, because they have now an acquaintance, a familiarity with those, with the chocolate cake, and they associate with it not only the taste, but also it comes usually with certain experiences that are joyful. So when you say chocolate cake, the child or ourselves will remember the taste, the friendship, the joyful event and everything. And so immediately you see people's smiling. You say the word, you smile, because it has an impact on our heart, therefore on our soul, on our body. We smile, we're happy. And that is something that has been cultivated. It has been cultivated inadvertently, like we didn't do it on purpose, but now we want to, on purpose, cultivate. When we say Bismillah, when we say Alhamdulillah, we say MashaAllah, we will feel it in our hearts. We will feel the happiness, the awe, the gratitude, and if we have time, then we go into sajda, for instance. And if we have, eventually, if we have time, we stay longer there, listen to this friend from beyond, this angelic, I mean, just like when you see a human being, you are not, consciously, we are not talking to the physical part of the person. You don't think, oh, this is flesh and bones. We are immediately in tune with the persons who they are. That's what we are learning with the creation. Yeah, they may look like leaves and flowers or trees or something, but when you start connecting with them and becoming aware in this passage, in this third mystery, that something very powerful is going on, something very meaningful, something very beautiful, something very full of wisdom is going on there, then you cannot actually say, oh, it's a tree, it's water, it's this. No, something, just a second. This is a being with lots of wisdom, this and that. So now we can make friendship, because the malakuts, now we have access to the malakut side. The more we have access to that side, the more we befriend the creation, they befriend us as well. I mean, they are always open to us. It's us who are not aware of it. Now, when we see, it makes sense that I like them. What I like is not just like, if someone is cynical, we say, what do you like? What do you like about these leaves? You know, they all slightly different colors and different shapes. But at the end of the day, they're all leaves. They're all plants, for instance. Some are eatable and some are for decoration. So what's the big deal? But we know it's not that. That's a reduction of the reality. Each one is different. It's like each human being has, you can't say they're all human beings. Each human being has different face, different ways of smiling, looking at you. And you know that each one is a whole universe. So now we start making friends with the rest of the creation. And instead of running away, each time stay a little longer than your comfort space or comfort time. A little more to get used to, so that there will be a new comfort zone. The comfort zone is not because it's just from habit. We are creatures of habit. Now we are training ourselves to have new habits. Our new habit is being comfortable with awe and gratitude and more elevated emotions. that pertain to the malakut, that pertain to the divine, instead of we are otherwise very familiar, very comfortable with anger and jealousy and envy and hatred or resentment, or I don't know the names, and we may not be aware of what's going on inside, but it's something that doesn't feel very good, yet we are like addicted to it because we are familiar. So can you imagine this negative lower emotions that destroy even our physical body, let alone our heart, disturb our heart and soul, and they are an obstacle to our akhirah? We get used to it because of familiarity. Imagine if we train ourselves slowly to be familiar with gratitude and joy and saying yes to whatever Allah creates, and feeling that I am willing to submit, feeling that awe, feeling that peace, that He's taking care of everything, feeling that joy, that akhirah after death is also tomorrow. After that, everything is being taken care of by my sustainer. Can you imagine how faster we will get used to this beautiful feelings, inshallah? So just a little bit each time, and words and phrases from the Quran that will, like they will be sealed with them, and we can recuperate the feelings whenever we say those words. Those words are supposed to, that's what they were given to us for, remind us and reenact, so that we don't have to always go through the longer route of reflecting, because in our daily life we are not always in a situation where we can reflect, but we will be always in a situation where we are responding with consciously, with gratitude, with awe, with feeling in the presence of the divine everywhere, the rububiyyah everywhere, inshallah.
Yeah, I think what I got is to stay with it and to associate the feelings with, like, when we are feeling it, I don't, like, I sometimes go into sujood, but I haven't milked it into a, like, subhanallah should take me back to that feeling, whenever I'm saying it doesn't as well. So I think that's the missing link, inshallah. I'll try to, inshallah, put your advice into action. Bismillah.
What came to me is maybe to end with a practical meditative moment. I know that Maghrib came in for those of you on the East Coast. But before so I have just this meditation in mind that we've done with Dr. Yamin in the past that we can do all together, of just closing our eyes, and like chocolate cake, I kept remembering my small friend. Every time I say ice pop or ice cream, it's like his whole being is like like intense, full body taslim. I mean, his full body is absolutely elated. And so I thought about, imagine if every time I said Alhamdulillah, it was the same response when I said to him, ice pops. Like that. So we're training something. So the idea that came to me as our practical activity, inshallah, we can do unless we also want to talk about these ayat, then we could do that as well. You let me know, Nur Banu and Dr. Yamina, because Maghrib did just come in. But to end with a way that we can all reflect on that which brings you deep joy, and then linking the word with the feeling, with the breath, and pausing together with that. But before we do that, Dr. Yamina, what do you think? Should we end with that? Should we open up for questions, or maybe connect these ayat as well? Because
if there are questions, or it depends on what people want. Personally, instead of going back to those ayat, when Nur Banu was reading the third mystery, I remembered the beginning, the first like 12, 13, 14 ayah of Surah Al-Hajj, which is, I think, Surah 22. So we could read without reflecting, just the tone, like, or what was it? Oh man, come to your senses. You know that. Look at this. Look at this. It reminded me of the tone of the Quran, and since we are the two ayats were from Surah Al-Hajj, it reminded me of the beginning of Surah Al-Hajj. We can read without reflecting, and then if you said 2 or 3 minutes, here we still have few minutes to Maghrib. Still not Maghrib. So it's up to you, inshallah.
I like the idea of the ayat for sure. So
I can just read without I'm opening. Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. O people. So O people is يا أيها الناس. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم. O people, be mindful of your Rabb, your sustainer, for the earthquake of the last hour is a mighty thing. On the day you see it, every nursing mother will think no more of her baby. Every pregnant female will miscarry. You will think people are drunk when they are not. So severe will be God's torment. Yet, still there are some who, with no knowledge, argue about God, who follow every devilish rebel. So these people, they follow every devilish rebel, fated to lead astray those who take his side and guide them to the suffering of the blazing flame. O people, Ya ayyuhan nas, again, remember, if you doubt the resurrection, that we have created you from dust, then a drop of fluid, then a clinging form, then a lump of flesh, both shaped and unshaped. We mean to make our power clear to you. Whatever we choose, we cause to remain in the womb for an appointed time. Then we bring you forth as infant, and then you grow and reach maturity. Some die young, and some are left to live on to such an age that they forget all they once knew. You sometimes see the earth lifeless, yet when we send down water, it stirs and swells and produces every kind of joyous growth. This is because God is the truth. ذلك بأن الله هو الحق, is the truth. He brings the dead back to life. He has power over everything. There is no doubt that the last hour is bound to come, nor that God will raise the dead from their graves. Yet still there are some people who, with no knowledge or guidance of any book or of enlightenment, argue about God, turning scornfully aside to lead others away from God's path. Disgrace in this world awaits such person, and on the day of resurrection we shall make him taste the suffering of the fire. it will be said, this is for what you have stored up with your own hands. God is never unjust to his creatures. And there is too, though, and there are also some who serve God with unsteady faith. It means on the borderline, if you look at the Arabic, like their faith is minimum. If something good comes their way, they are satisfied. But if they are tested, they revert to their old ways, losing both this world and the next. That is the clearest loss. Instead of God, they call upon that can neither harm nor help them. That is straying far away. We do this all the time. Or invoke one whose harm is closer than his help, an evil master or an evil companion. And then it starts saying, but God will admit those who believe and do good deeds to gardens graced with flowing streams. God does whatever he wishes. And then afterwards, it's all about shirk, no shirk, no shirk, no shirk, surrender to God, surrender to God. But and can you see how always in the Quran, it says, God, believe in God, akhirah is haqq. And then immediately after, it says, O people, if you are in doubt of the resurrection, look how we created you from dust, then a drop of reed, then. So it's about humility, and humility comes from becoming aware of the reality. Our arrogance is from delusion. It's based on false delusion about who we are and what we are doing in this world. Being totally unaware. The more we learn and we accept the reality, to accept the reality, we have to ponder over it, to internalize it, to stay with it, so it becomes our way of being. Then true humility will come. And of course, humility, it's not only a matter of knowing, it's also knowing plus choosing to accept, choosing to surrender. That's why surrender is very, very powerful and very crucial. Without the surrender, we can't start the cycle of the receiving the light of Iman and Ihsan. We need to surrender. Otherwise, we can learn everything, but to the extent that we don't surrender, it will remain information. And in order to surrender, Allah gave us the pillars of Islam, and around them, of course, someone was saying Islam is not only the pillars, a house is not only the pillars. Inside, there are other things. All the acts of worship, acts of obedience are for our benefit, to give us an opportunity to practice surrender. And the barakah, the blessings and the benefits are endless, physical and material and non-material and spiritual, and in this world and in the next. Everything from prayer and Hajj or giving zakat, but there is zakat, there is also sadaqah all the time. There is prayer, but there are other things as well. There is living in the name of God. There is using our body, dressing the body in the name of God. It's not my body. I don't get to decide. So why is it like this? Why is it not? What is to you? Who are you? Who are you to want to put the laws for? If I'm asking those questions, it means, okay, you need to start from the beginning. Learn who you are and what you are doing in this world and who your sustainer, your creator is. There's no point in trying to, reason with me if I'm asking that question. It means I'm still not clear about who I am. But just because I learned who I am, it does not mean that I am going to surrender, to submit to that extent. The more we submit, the more we make our path easier and easier, inshallah. If everyone is okay, Sarah can. So it just here, just now, Maghrib entered, so we can do a few minutes meditation, inshallah.
Jazakallah kull khair, Dr. Yamina. Thank you for sharing. And I just want to be clear that the last point of like the more we submit to who we actually are, the more we accept the fact that we're just made and everything that we're experiencing is given. We are made, every feeling is given. The way your body is made is subjugated for you. There's nothing that you own. The more we submit, meaning we accept that we're made, that these things are made, and we really engage with the things with curiosity without judgment, realizing that we're put on this earth to learn, to get acquainted with the one who put me here, to get acquainted with the one who subjugates the whole universe for me. So the only purpose of me being here is to get acquainted with the one that put me here, through all the helpers that he has all around me that I'll only be in touch with when I pause and wonder with curiosity how things are made so perfectly. She said the more we submit, the more we make the path easier and easier. Bismillah. On that note, we would like to end with a meditation that focuses on the feeling of being elated, joy, and I know we've been talking about sa'ada, happiness, feeling constantly reassured in our last halaqah. So join me. We're going to pause. I invite everyone to close their eyes. And just bring your body to a comfortable position. And begin by taking slow, deep breaths in through the nose. Big, slow, and deep. And slowly exhale. With the intention to give permission for this body to totally relax. Slow, deep breath in. And slow, deep breath out. Slow, deep breath in. Noticing the legs relaxing down to the feet. Slow, deep breath in. Noticing the belly and the chest relaxing. Slow exhale. Slow, deep breath in, allowing the arms from the shoulders down to the fingertips to totally relax. Slow exhale. Slow inhale, allowing the eyes, space between the eyebrows, nose, mouth, jaw, to totally soften on the exhale. slow inhale and allowing your whole being to feel totally at ease on the surface that is supporting you, holding you. Notice the feeling of ease and peace filling your body when you choose to slow down. Slow your breath in and slow the exhale out. Notice how in touch you are now with this presence of peace. And now bring to your memory the first thing that comes when you think of joy, something that makes you smile big, that fills you with gratitude. And on the inhale, let yourself be filled with the feeling of experiencing this immense gift of perfection placed before you just to bring you a smile, just to lift your spirits, just to let you taste joy. On the next inhale, let it be a big inhale, filling your belly and your chest with this warm feeling of total joy and gratitude. Remembering the memory and letting it fill your whole being with every slow inhale and slow exhale. And I wonder if other visions come to you of other things that also bring you that warm smile, that appreciation of such a wonderful gift of perfection. Know that the one who owns the whole universe, that subjugates the entire universe with immense power, brings you this gift out of his love, his care, his favor for you and you only. On the next inhale, make it even deeper, letting this warm feeling of being so loved overflow into your arms, forearms, hands. Slow exhale. Slow inhale, letting the softness overflow to your face, space between the eyebrows, cheeks, jaw, flowing all through your being, this wonderful feeling of being gifted, as though you can see the gifts lined up before you of the things that bring you so much joy. Even if something simple, it requires infinite power and the owner of the entire universe to dispel it for you, to dispatch the armies of angels to gift you. On the next inhale, let's connect this warm feeling to the blessed phrase, Alhamdulillah. And as though with every heartbeat and every inhale, allowing Alhamdulillah to repeat while keeping the feeling and the images playing in front of you of all the little joys that have been put in your display. Slow, deep inhale. Allow this feeling to totally inundate your being. Alhamdulillah. There is an incredible being offering me so much love and care and favor and perfect praise and thanks. I choose to return to this one by inwardly repeating while allowing my body to flow in the ocean of this joy. Alhamdulillah. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and get ready to enjoy the blessings ever present by the one who's always hosting you here. Alhamdulillah.